So as Stuart said, I'm going to read a statement, and then we'll give you a copy of this statement after. Okay?
Cool.
Thank you. In July 2016, Idaho State University's Office for Research, during routine financial and operational reviews of the Research and Innovation in Science and Engineering Complex, RISE, we'll call it RISE from here on, found evidence of what were believed to be financial discrepancies related to the spending of research and contract funds. On July 21st, Dr. Niels Vanderskype, Vice President for Research and Dean of the Graduate School, and Brian Hickenlooper, who at that time was the Assistant Vice President for Finance and Administration, met with the financial personnel from RISE to have these concerns addressed directly. Based on the response of the RISE personnel at that meeting, Dr. Vanderskype decided that the financial operations of the RISE complex should be reviewed immediately. So the Office of Research, in conjunction with the Office of Finance and Administration, began a review of the financial operations of RISE, or the RISE complex. This review, which revealed at the time that revenues were not sufficient to cover expenditures, led to personnel reductions that occurred in mid-August last year. You probably remember that. As part of the review process, the RISE Complex University business officer at the time was reassigned. In the course of this review, evidence emerged that raised concerns regarding the management of the RISE complex under then-director, Dr. Eric Burgett. And as a result, on September 15th of 2016, Dr. Vanderskype removed Dr. Eric Burgett as director of RISE and returned him to his position in the faculty. Also, on September 15, and with the support of President Bayless and Provost Dr. Laura Woodworth-Nye, Dr. Vanderskype asked the Director of Internal Audit, Mr. Reese Jensen, to conduct a comprehensive review. Reese Jensen functionally reports to the Idaho State Board of Education Audit Committee, and so during this period of time, he's been conducting that review. This review was to include all activities in RISE, including funding, personnel, travel, and third-party relationships. Dr. Burgett tendered his resignation from Idaho State University on September 16, 2016, so one day after. The review by Mr. Jensen has been thorough and encompassed not only interviews of employees, but also included a review of nearly 180,000 emails and documents. Because of the large scope of the investigation, ISU auditors divided the investigation into separate reports, which you will see. Although the entirety of the internal review has not yet been finalized, the Office of General Counsel, Joanne Rossi-Stacy here, has received a request for records and released them under the Idaho Public Records Act. The reports that have been completed indicate that there were violations of Idaho state law and of university policies and procedures regarding the use of public funds, as well as conflicts of interest. The administration recognizes that there was a lack of compliance in the RISE complex, and as part of the university's commitment to a culture of compliance, the internal auditors will conduct a university-wide conflicts of interest audit. ISU has also instituted a conflicts of interest training for all faculty and staff of the university, and that will be completed by December 31st of this year, 2017. To request these documents, there's two separate documents. One is 120 pages, something like that. One is 30 or 40 pages. Please contact our Office of General Counsel at this email address, which you'll have, frangam5@isu.edu. We'll give it to you. And we will send those out to you or anybody else immediately. And for further questions, once you've read that document, digested some of the things that are in that, please contact our Office of Marketing and Communications. You have Stuart's telephone number and his email, and we submit those questions to us, and we will respond to every one of those questions. There has been talk about this for some time. Reese has been working on this for a good long time, and the documents that he's prepared are comprehensive and long and detailed, and I think they'll be very helpful to you in kind of discerning what has gone on. As a university, we're excited to move forward We know that there's been challenges, but we're excited to move forward. We believe with the new plans for RISE, which include research, as well as the College of Technology, that's going to provide wonderful opportunity. Our College of Technology has been in substandard facilities, and this will allow the College of Technology to grow dramatically. As you know, as you've publicized yourself, we've received a couple of very, very large gifts to help transform the RISE complex for the College of Technology and Research, and moving forward with those donors and others provides great opportunity. So, do you have any questions that I could answer?
Will you be, I think I heard that Idaho State law as well as university policy has been broken. Are you going to pursue the violators of those laws?
We have talked with the Bannock County Prosecutor's Office, and any questions about prosecution needs to go to the Bannock County Prosecutor's Office.
What were some of the things that they were doing with this money, the misuse of this money? Where was it going towards?
As you'll see as we get into more detail, it was the larger issue, in my opinion, was a conflict of interest and disclosures and those types of things dealing with third-party relationships. The research went on. Some of the contracts, as you remember, ended, and because they ended, and because the revenues and the expenditures weren't matching, that's why some of our people were laid off at the time. And part of that had to do with the conflicts of interest, and you will see that in substantial detail.
Will the report be able to specify? I think that one of the contracts that Burgett or the RISE complex was working with, Burgett actually left ISU to work with that company. Is there any correlation there between the misappropriation of funds?
You will see great detail. That company is Scantech.
Yep.
And you will see great detail about Scantech in those documents.
Okay.
Do you think this?
There are some, but very few redactions in the documentation, because most everything in that was assessed via email and public documents, and so you'll see that in great detail.
Do you think this had anything to do with hiring a director that had not very much experience? Does this fall on his shoulders? Well, whose shoulders does this fall on?
I can't answer that question. I do not know the answer to that. I think as you read the documentation, you'll see where we had some weaknesses, where we can do better on some areas, where we need to be really vigilant when it comes to conflict of interest and disclosure of relationships. I think that will be quite clear, and so you'll be able to make your own conclusions based on what you read.
And will it be clear what redactions, I mean, in terms of what's been redacted, it's not going to affect any sort of readership?
No.
I mean, we'll be able to understand
No.
what's going on. Mostly like names, probably, right?
Names are in there.
Okay, names are in there.
Names are not redacted, right, Joanne?
There's a few names that are.
A few names.
Probably some governmental contracts, names of that. No? Okay. Cool.
Anybody who's principal to this, those names are not redacted.
Okay.
People involved, are they still here at the university?
No, Eric Burgett is not here at the university anymore. The business officer is not here at the university anymore. And so there are people involved who are not here. That's correct.
You said that there's going to be a comprehensive review of conflict of interest. Can you maybe talk to me a little bit about what that means exactly?
When in dealing with these research grants, we have a policy at the university. It's university-wide, not just faculty, but staff as well, that when you have a relationship with any type of organization that you might be doing business with, that's not necessarily wrong. It's not necessarily so that you can't do it, but those relationships must be disclosed. And in many of these relationships that you'll read about, there was no disclosure of those relationships, and therefore it's caused our internal auditor and the rest of the people at the university that oversee this kind of thing to really think how much rigor we have to our conflict of interest policies. Now, we believe that the policies are fine, but we have to make sure that disclosures are made. And so that's why we're going to go through this training by the end of the year with all of our employees dealing with conflict of interest and disclosure of potential conflict of interest. And that training, I think, will be helpful. I think a lot of people, probably myself included, didn't quite understand the rigor that needs to go into declarations of a conflict or a potential conflict.
But you said that you're excited to move forward, and we've seen a rebrand of the Rise. It has now a new donor, a new name, new sort of business plan in terms of what some teachings are going to go on up there. With what happened at the Rise, is this going to kind of be we cut our losses and move on, or what, are we going to seek some sort of retribution or penalties from some of the people that were involved in this, or where do you go from here regarding the Rise? Do you just move past this, or do you kind of try? I mean, is any of this going to drag on, I guess is what I'm saying, or you're just going to cut your losses and move on?
I don't believe so. First of all, in terms of retribution, you would have to talk again to the prosecutor's office to see what they may do. We have documented everything. We have turned all the information that we found into their office. But I do, so in terms of cut your losses, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I do believe that moving forward there will, in fact I'm certain, there will be significant research that's conducted there. There will be rigor in that research. It will follow policy and procedure. But in addition, we have great opportunity with the College of Technology to combine some of what they do with research, and they'll both do some of their own things as well. But this has provided a tremendous opportunity to grow and develop and expand what we're doing in the College of Technology, ranging from drones and drone research to many other things. And so, in fact, we are giving a tour of that facility in just a week to a group of people who will be able to see some of the things that we're planning on doing there. And I think it's exciting to me, and I know it's exciting to the University and the College of Technology about what might be accomplished up there. But that's not even mentioning research. We'll continue to do research up there as well. And so, yeah, that's really important to this institution.
Perfect.
Why was it important that you guys, or how seriously do you guys take these kind of things happening here at the university?
Really seriously, and that's why we're here today. For, 2 years, you've heard things about this. I've heard things about this. And at this time, a year ago, when this information started, when Dr. Vanderskyve and the people in his operation started to really consider what they had heard and what was going on, that's what caused this review, and that's what the internal auditor, Reese Jensen, has been doing for a long time now, really going comprehensively. So the fact that we reviewed 200,000 documents, emails and documents, the fact that there were immediate changes in personnel, the fact that we're reviewing these policies, all these things I think show and demonstrate very clearly how serious the university takes these kinds of actions, and wants to make sure that everything we do is transparent, above board, and proper. That's why when we found these things, they were turned over to the prosecutor's office to see where they might go with it as well. Is that good?
Can I ask a question, Ken?
Yeah.
In my experience, large-scale failures like this, especially when they're coupled with illegalities like this, characteristically have an administrator accept responsibility. And yet I'm surprised to hear no word of what upper-level administrator accepts responsibility for this truly gross failure. After all, the governor was on campus with you and President Bayless and Fletcher and others, making really quite strong claims about what was forthcoming with RISE, and yet it fell flat on its face. And I've heard nothing about who in upper administration accepts responsibility for this failure. So could you tell us, please, who is responsible for this failure?
I think, Dave, we all do. And I think that's why what has been going on over the course of the last year demonstrates that we all take responsibility and we care about what happens, and that this was reviewed, that actions were taken, that actions still may be taken, and in terms of these things, that the university is doing some reviews of how we do this, but I think just by virtue of the fact that we're here, that shows that we all took responsibility. I mean, I'm not sure what you want us to do.
What I want to know specifically is who was responsible for it. Let me put it to you this way. If I report back to the people that I need to report to, is it fair and honest for me to say President Vallis is responsible for this gross failure?
No, I don't think so. I think this belongs to all of us. Yeah, I think it belongs to all of us because we all work together as a university.
Well, that doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not here to argue with you.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Well, there is a chain of command that's made very clear on this campus, and people are responsible for certain areas. Now, it's well known among the faculty that Eric Burgett reported directly to President Vallis. It's well known that faculty and staff were reporting to faculty organizations on campus about misuse of state funds, falsification of data, cozy relationships, mismanagement of money, and so on. But we couldn't get any leverage. Surely there's somebody responsible for these things on this campus. And who is that person, and how is it that they failed? The problem, in my opinion, oftentimes people say, you know, now is not the time to find fault, but this actually is the time to find fault so that this terrible failure isn't repeated. So what do I want you to say? I want you to identify a specific upper administrator who was at the end of the chain of command for this disaster.
Yeah, Dave, I don't think that's what this is about. I think what this is about is to identify what happened, rectify what happened to the extent that we can, and then make things better. I think part of your question is incorrect because I don't think that Eric Burgett had a reporting relationship with the president. In fact, I'm sure he didn't. I've never heard that before, so I don't know where that came from. But I do think that this provides an opportunity for us to do things better and for the university to move forward. I mean, you're one of our fine researchers here, and you know the importance of research.
I agree. I do know those things. And I will tell you, I am astounded that there isn't an upper level administrator taking responsibility here.
Well, I think there is. I think that's why we're here today.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I don't want to become argumentative, so
No,
I appreciate your words.
I appreciate that.
So why do you think the Rise Complex didn't live up to what you guys thought it would be when you first purchased that building and had all those ideas? What went wrong there?
Well, let me answer that in two ways. I want to say, first of all, I think that the Rise Complex, Eames Complex now, has great potential and will do great things. To your previous question, I think as you get into the documentation, you'll see some things where there were failures and where we need to be better and where people need to be forthright and honest in disclosures, and we as a university we need to make sure that people understand exactly what needs to be disclosed, why and how, and then that we have processes in place, policies in place that try to assure that accountability.
Did I kind of off what Dave said? I would assume Burgett had a reporting relationship to Niels, to Vanderschaaf. Did Cornelius have any idea of what was going on at the Rise, or he wasn't? Does the reports implicate any involvement of Cornelius, the research director, in this?
I think you need to. I think that as soon as he had information, as soon as the finance people at Rise and the finance people at the university got together and looked at those reports from those perspectives, I think as soon as Dr. Vanderschaaf saw something needed to happen, I think he acted. And I think you'll see that in here. I think you'll see clearly in the reports that when he received information that caused concern, he acted.